The weekend weather is likely to pick up right where Friday left off, with widespread thunderstorms, including severe storms which could well deliver heavy rain and flash flooding all the way from central Queensland down to Tasmania. This radar imagery from this morning shows the bulk of the wet weather out over the water, but as we get into Saturday afternoon, that will change, with thunderstorms set to redevelop over large parts of eastern Australia, really following that daily cycle, building through the early afternoon, with the most active period being the late afternoon and evening, and then starting to subside again overnight. We see how extensive these storms could be, stretching from the central coast or even the northern coast of Queensland right down the eastern seaboard. We see it die away overnight into Sunday morning before it ramps up once again on Sunday afternoon. Extensive stormy weather yet again almost all across the eastern side of the country right down to Tasmania. So it is a couple of wet and stormy days in a row. Let's check out the thunderstorm map for Saturday. This is this afternoon, and I really want to highlight these yellow areas. That is where we could see severe thunderstorms, and if these severe thunderstorms get going in Queensland, they could bring lots of significant weather, including areas of heavy rain which could lead to flooding, flash flooding and riverine flooding. They could bring damaging wind gusts in excess of 90 kilometres an hour, and much like we saw yesterday, could bring some large hailstones. There were 4 to 5 centimetre hailstones measured yesterday around Queensland. That could be repeated today. As you track further south through eastern New South Wales, mostly around the mountains, as well as Victoria and Tasmania, the main threat with thunderstorms is heavy rainfall and flash flooding. I did just want to quickly zoom into the southeast just to highlight these areas across Vic and Tas, which haven't seen as many storms in recent days as further north. For Victoria, it's mostly eastern parts of the state around the high terrain and Gippsland, but it could include the far eastern suburbs of Melbourne. And for Saturday in Tasmania, the storms primarily about the Central Plateau and Central Highlands, but may stretch out towards other parts, including inland areas around Hobart. Some of the severe storm impacts which are expected could well be flash and riverine flooding. That's really the big one for the next few days, as that rain comes through very heavy and widespread. That can lead to dangerous driving conditions, not just water over the roads, but potentially poor visibility and poor traction when that rain is coming down heavy. And the combination of rain and strong winds, especially that we might see in Queensland, can damage crops, trees and property as well. There is a whole other array of impacts which could happen. Now a look at Sunday, and if anything, Sunday could be an even more active day when it comes to thunderstorms across eastern Australia. We see the introduction of some red areas on our map. This is where severe thunderstorms go from being possible to being likely in these red areas, including central parts of Queensland, up in the Highlands, as well as out towards the east coast from the Wide Bay through the Capricornia and maybe into the central coast. We have this broad area where severe thunderstorms look likely across the Victoria-New South Wales border, mostly in high terrain, but could impact a few other areas as well. And don't forget Tasmania, the northeast of the state, could see severe storms which bring significant rain and potential for flooding. Speaking of rain and flooding, here's a look at how much rain we could get over the whole weekend. This is the 2-day forecast on one map, and there's a couple of areas which may see heavy rain that I wanted to highlight. The first one is here, northeastern New South Wales, southeast Queensland. This is the spot that will probably get the most persistent rain over the course of the weekend. While the hourly totals might not be as heavy as elsewhere, it could just rain hour after hour, and that's what will really accumulate the rainfall here. Certainly in excess of 50, could well see spots in excess of 100 millimetres there. This is another area to highlight, the central coast of Queensland. It doesn't pop out on this map all that much, but come Sunday afternoon, that is one area with a particularly sharp focus for possible heavy falls and flash flooding. And finally, I want to highlight this area here, eastern and in particular northeastern Tasmania. It's an area of the country which doesn't typically get really heavy rain, or at least not very often. So if they do see heavy falls, 50 to 100 millimetres, that could see a sharp response for flash and riverine flooding. And the flooding is where we're going to leave it. This is going to be the last thing I show you. This is the current flood watch. And remember, this is valid at the time we're filming. It's about 10:30 Queensland time on Saturday morning. This will be updated over the next 24 to 48 hours. So make sure if you're watching this video in a few hours, you double check and see if the flood watches and flood warnings have changed. As it stands currently, widespread flood watches across the southern interior and southeast of the state, and a few flood flood warnings in place north of Brisbane. This does include the Mary River and the Stewart and Boyne rivers and a couple of others, but I can't stress this enough. Further rivers may see flooding in the next few days due to the widespread nature of the rain and thunderstorms. So there is a lot to keep on top of with your local forecast, and of course any warnings that come out for those thunderstorms or that flooding, and you know where to get the latest information. The Bureau website and app have got you covered. Thanks for watching. Stay safe this weekend.